my family responsibilities now for more than 1.5 years, actively involved in online trainings. So before starting with the basics of TM, just which will be part of the demo, I would like to have from your end about what you have been doing, so that if somebody requires the brief about the process and all, or otherwise if you have the knowledge about the basics, we can directly move into the system.
Okay, so hi Varsha, I am going to introduce myself. My name is Shambhu Sarkar. I am having more than 8 years experience in SAP, working in SD, LE, Logistic Execution. Currently I am working in Fujitsu as a subject matter expert for the sales division. And I am very much interested in the transport management, because you know that LE Logistic Execution is on my interest area. So I believe it's a good move, TM, and probably you can skip this some of the slides also, which is giving the basic knowledge, because I have already the transportation management's knowledge. It's almost, I would say, the knowledge area is like in LE, but this one is much more advanced, because that is integrated in the ECC and it is in a plugins, right?
Correct. Correct. Correct, I'm saying. Hello?
Yeah, listen.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so that's it from myself. So my main aim for me to learn the transport management, because I think there's a lots more scope and it will give me a value add. Right.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Because you are not well, you are not giving me much more the basic knowledge which I have. You can directly start with the demo.
Okay, your point is correct, but we have some other people also over there, so we can have ask from them also, or otherwise we can.
That's great.
Yeah. Hi Varsha, Subbu here. Hello.
Yes, Subbu, please go ahead.
Yeah, this is Subbu, and I've been into SAP Web Pro from the last 4 years. And currently I would like to update myself. For that I have chosen TM since it is good scope in the market. My major area is Web Pro. That's it. That's it from myself.
Yeah, this is Raj. I have. Can you hear?
So TM is totally, just 2 minutes. So TM is totally new for you.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. You can carry on.
Yeah, this is Raj, and I have 2 years of EWM experience, extended warehouse management, and I think there is an integration with TM is important to us, so I thought I would learn on TM. I don't have much experience on transportation.
Yeah, it is about to come, and it would be very helpful for you in your yard management for TUs.
Okay.
Yeah, you can carry on, Raj.
Yeah, I think that's all on my side.
Yeah, that was from your end. Yeah. Okay, so we can start.
Sure.
So, Shambhu, I think it's fine with you. I'll just have to give a brief about TM, so I think it's fine with you.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine with me. Earlier I thought that I am the only person who is attending this demo, but since there is a Subbu and Raj, so definitely it will be very helpful for them. So please go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So basically what would be the agenda would be first we'll go through the overview of the transportation and logistics, then we can talk about the strategy, then what are the solution details, what does the TM as a product it has to offer, what are the scenarios that would be covered as part of the training, and then a brief discussion we can have about the architecture overview. So this is the, if we talk about transportation, so basically what would be talking about would be the planning, organizing and execution of the physical movement of goods. So herein we can see that we have 4 major players who would be involved in the complete process. First would be the shipper, which could be the manufacturer or the trading industries. Final, you would have the customer or the consignee to whom the product would be moving into. Then you have the freight forwarder. That is the person who would be, that would be the entity, you can say, that would be organizing the process, the actual transportation of goods. So they would act as the brokers, whereas the carriers would be involved in the actual transportation. Like it could be road, it could be rail, it could be air, or it could be sea. But the role of the freight forwarder over here would be just to organize the process of transportation. So these are the major players, we can say, who would be involved in the complete process: shipper, customer, freight forwarder, and then carriers. Then coming on to the process, so if we want to just break down TM into broadly, so we can say it can be divided into 4 major parts or categories. So here we have order management, planning and tendering, execution and monitoring, and settlement. So basically it starts the complete process. It would start with orders, so order management. So this process, it basically involves the receipt of orders that would require movement of goods from one location to another location. Now these orders, either they can be they can come from ECC, sales order, purchase order, or they can be directly created in TM, which is the case for your forwarding order, which we can see as we proceed with the training. So, but there would be 2 variations. You can have orders coming in from ECC. They flow into TM as OTR, that is your order-based transportation requirement, or DTR, which is your delivery-based transportation requirement, or you can directly create in TM. So that was about the orders. Now after the orders have been placed, the process of planning begins. Now planning would be optimal planning. Herein the planner has to decide that what would be the load, that is the product. Accordingly, which mode has to be selected, which route has to be followed. In case of sea and air as the mode, schedules would also be have to be taken care of, like for booking space on aircraft or the vessel. Then you have factors like distance, cost, and time. So even they have to be taken care of. What is the, either cost is the priority, or you have to, if you have the express delivery or delivery is urgent, then you have to go for air as the mode of transport. And if time is not the constraint, then maybe we may switch to intermodal. So these are the activities that would be involved, or that would come as part of planning. Now after planning would be your execution, your tendering, freight, and assigning of carriers. Then in tendering we will have variations. Basically in TM you would come across two types of tendering, that is peer-to-peer tendering, that is one by one, and then you have broadcast, where you would be sending to all the carriers together. So that's a bit in detail, which we can see later, but basically in tendering we will see two types. Then after tendering, the process of execution begins. This process it includes initiating the goods issue, creating a transport order, and basically triggering the decrement of inventory. Now once the physical movement of, till now we were planning how it would be done, through which route it has to be sent, but now once the physical movement of goods starts, we have to again fix up the milestones and keep a check whether they are covered on time or not. So what would be done in execution? Either whichever milestones you have fixed, so you have to keep a check whether your consignment it's moving, it's on time, or there's a delay. If there's a delay, what's the reason? So this can be taken care of as part of your monitoring process. Now after the execution and monitoring comes the final part, which is done in TM, that is your settlement. Now once your freight orders, they have been executed, the next step it would be the completion of the financial settlement. So you'll have your freight settlement documents or your forwarding settlement documents. So they would create your purchase order and service entry sheet, and they would be moved to ECC, and finally you can have your invoice, your final settlement from ECC. But once the settlement is done, again the message, it would be pushed back to TM. So that's the complete process covering in order management, planning and tendering, execution and monitoring, and settlement. This is just a brief about solution history anyways, about how it started with Elytra, that is logistics, execution, transportation, then moved on, came up with SAP, came up with APO, TPVS somewhere around in 2000, but basically all about TM. If majorly it started in 2007 with 6.0 was launched, followed by 7.0, although it didn't perform too well as compared to the competitors. So SAP brought in TM 8.0, which was successful compared to the predecessors, and then 9.0 came, and even now 9.1 has come up. So as discussed, we can have the four major processes: your order management, planning and tendering, execution and monitoring, and settlement. Along with this, we can also have we have analytics and reporting. If we require some previous for some scenario, if we require any database, also we can have from TM. Then we have integration with event management for track and trace. Then with GTS for your import, export, and your dangerous goods compliance. Then documents like your bills of lading, your way bills or airway bills. Even shipping instructions, they can be printed from TM. So we have the complete output management also as part of this solution. Then we have integration and connectivity also, if some messages are also there. So they can be sent either to the customer or the vendors. If there's a delay or there's something went wrong somewhere, so we have a complete connectivity also. Coming on to the processes and scenarios. So the processes which we will cover would be how to manage transportation requirements, which would be part of your order management. Then again, in order management, one big topic that we would cover would be the forwarding orders. Then in planning, we will see freight bookings and how to manage freight. So basically here, whenever in TM we would be talking about freight, it is, you can say it is the basic unit of transportation. So it is something which would move from your source to destination as it is, or it is unbroken, it will remain unchanged from start to destination. Now this freight, it could be a container, could be a pallet, or it could maybe simply, it could be a simple box. So that's freight. So in planning we will cover about bookings, then how to select carriers, then we'll go through tendering, then how to execute and monitor, and in settlement we will see how to create a freight settlement document, forwarding settlement document. So that's what are the processes. On the processes part we would cover. Then the scenarios which we would take up would be domestic inbound, domestic outbound, international inbound, international outbound, and then less than container load scenarios also we will take up. So that is basically what is on the basic part. Maybe we can these are all the things that they gain a bit in detail. What is the data? Just we can have a brief discussion on this transportation cockpit, which we would be using as a powerful tool in planning. But again, this we can see in system only. But it is a tool which is used for planning, wherein we have a single screen where around 2-3 objects, which we have business objects we have in TM, we can have them on the single screen. just what we were discussing about. We were discussing about transportation cockpit. So sorry, excuse me. So here in transportation cockpit, we have the freight units. So here we can see which are all the freight units that are available for planning or we need to plan. So on the left hand side bottom also we can see we have what are the vehicles that are available for planning. So in the process flow, what you have is you have freight units. You will do planning and the resultant what you get is your freight order. So in this cockpit, we can see all of them. You have the freight units. So when you will do the planning, the resultant what you get is your freight order. So we can see, and in the fourth tab, you can have the details of your freight order, or either it can be according to your need. You can design the cockpit. Even instead of here we are getting the details of the freight order, even you can have maps if you require graphical routing. So you can see you want the graphical representations, so that is also possible. So that is what you can do with the help of this tool. Now maybe so basically these are the systems, these are the other modules of SAP with which TM interacts, or TM is required to interact to provide the complete end-to-end process. So we would be having integration with ECC. We have orders coming in from there. Even as we start with the course, we will see much of the master data also we can move from ECC to TM. So we will have integration with ECC. Then for event notification and track and trace, you will have integration with event management. Then for customs, we have integration with GTS for custom and compliance management, and then for maps it integrates with GIS, that is a global information system. So that is what is the complete architecture overview. We will have integration with event management, with TCC, with GTS, and we will have GIS. So what is there now? Maybe we can move on to the system. So we have the sales order, just one simple scenario we can discuss. You have the sales order coming in from ECC in TM. It flows in TM as your OTR, that is your base transportation requirement. Then you have something called as the freight unit building rule. At this point we cannot discuss much about it, but using your freight unit building rule, your freight unit would be created. Then for on your freight unit, it acts as the input for your planning, and result of your planning would be freight order. So now this same process we can see how it is to be done in the system. First we'll create the sales order. So first what we need to do is we give the customer, next we'll give the product and quantity. Now, as soon as we save this, our XML would be triggered based on the configuration that would be done. So it is saved. Maybe we can go to TM and we can check in ERP logistics integration whether it is moved to TM or not.
So Varsha, I have one question. So is it any prerequisites required to integrate SAP ERP with the TM, or it will be automatic when the TM is being installed?
Of course, prerequisites you require. now you can see the original order which was sent from ECC. This is the which you can see, this is the OTR. So for your sales order, OTR is created in TM. So we finished with this part. Order has moved into TM as OTR. Now let's see OTR. Now in your, we had, I just mentioned that we have something called freight unit building rule in TM. So based on that freight unit building rule, so in there you have a setting, either automatic freight unit can be created. So if you check select automatic freight unit building rule, so from your OTR automatically your freight unit would be created. Now we can click on this freight unit and see what's there. So in this, in your freight unit, you can even see the freight unit building rule, which we are discussing. You can click on this. So basically, what we are deciding in freight unit building rule is what would be the strategy based on the changes which we'll see later. What would be the critical quantity on the basis of which your freight units are created. Basically, the critical quantity that we are deciding. They're all goods that can be clapped to or they have to be first. That's what is defined in your freight unit building rule. So you have the order, you have your OTR, applying freight unit building rule, we have our freight unit. Now comes planning. So I select the freight unit. I can go to the top panel, I can go to optimizer planning. So now the status which you can see, it says it is unplanned. Started with the planning. Now we can see the status, it says it's planned. So the status has changed. I have to come. We can accept and save. Here you can even use drag and drop. You can select the freight unit and the vehicle resource. So which we can see later that can also be used.
Varsha, Shambhu here. May I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Here, one tab I can see the charges. So where from this charges, like the freight charges and all, will be coming? It's coming from ECC, or we can build it up in TM itself?
It is coming from TM only. There in TM we have transportation charge management. So it will come from TM.
Okay.
So we have the freight order. We can look at the details. You can see it is going from customer 3 to plant, and then from plant to customer 1. So what What are these stages? So basically here what we can see is that why it is going from customer to the plant, because the actual location of the truck at that point of time, it was at the customer location of customer 3. So from customer 3 it is going to plant, and then from plant it is going to customer 1. So again, in from customer 3 it is going to the plant, which is in Chicago, and then from the plant it is going to get assignment to customer 1. Now freight order is created. After freight order, we have the settlement part. So within freight order, I to get the carrier. Charges. I have no charges here. Like here the basic freight charges. Then again in charge management we have different rates. Then there also we have to do some settings. So we have calculation for fee. So charge management also we will cover. Now after charges are calculated, can create freight settlement document. So at this point of time, I'm keeping it on a high level only. So now we start with the classes, then all these things we can see in detail. Let's just give you an overview. So that's what I wanted to discuss or to show you the process on a high level, and how orders they move to TM using freight unit building rule. What is the freight unit? What details we have over there? Then how planning is done. From planning, how we get the freight order, and from the freight order screen, how we can create the freight settlement document. So, any queries from you?
So the freight unit is it TU, transportation unit? Is it the same or different?
In TM we cannot say freight unit is similar to TU. In TM its equivalent would be, you can say, your freight order.
Equivalent freight. So is freight unit is one unit in the freight order or something? I am not catching between difference freight unit and freight order. It's the smallest piece in a freight order or something like that, or freight order contains many freight units.
we have discussed. Yeah, it is the basic unit which remain unchanged throughout the process of transportation, you can say.
Oh, okay. So you can have in freight order, you can have one freight unit. My understanding, right? You can have it one freight order may contain one
It could
freight
be
unit.
combining. If it may be freight units may be combined if you are talking about a scenario like consolidation. So it may have more freight units also which need to be delivered to the same location, you say.
Oh, okay.
So Varsha, what I understand from the freight unit that one freight order can have the multiple freight units. For example, if one consignment is going to a location where we are using the truck and then ocean and then again the truck. So for there could be a separate freight charges for the truck and separate freight charges for the ocean, right? So there would be two different freight units. Or my understanding is wrong?
Correct.
Okay.
But here your freight unit would be one only, but you will have two freight orders, or because you need to have separate charges, or maybe you are carrying for two customers.
Okay, so it means that one freight order can have only one freight unit.
No, you can have multiple freight units.
But if it is the same customer, you can have multiple freight units. But if it is a different customer, you expect a different freight order. Is that right?
No.
No.
So this is an example. See, wherein you have a single freight order, but you have freight units for different customers, but they can go even in a single order. So your freight units are different for different customers, but together they are going in a single order.
Got it. So if one transportation order or maybe the freight order is created for the multiple customers where we are sending consignment altogether in a single truck, so for each customer there would be a different freight units, right? So it means the one freight order can have multiple freight units.
Correct. Correct.
So I have one for the TU. I don't know how much I know about, but TU can have many freight orders. Is it like a TU transportation unit, like a vehicle or trailer? You can have many freight orders in it, or just one freight order equal to one TU?
That's what I would suggest is that it's better we don't compare at this point of time.
Okay.
Maybe when we will come to the topic, I'll give you a brief about TUs and what's the differentiation. And when we talk about TM, when we talk about TU in TM, what exactly it is, because it TU in TM, it combines the characteristics of freight unit as well as freight order. So
okay,
I'll definitely cover it with whether what's the difference between TU and this freight unit.
So one, you create a document is a freight unit at 2553. When you plan it, it's become 2554. Is that correct? My understanding. So the document, same document is unplanned is 2553. That's you created.
Because it because same number range is used.
Oh, same number range is, but you have a number one is plan document and plan document have a different number.
Varsha, how come it is possible for the same document it's getting the two numbers? Because as per the ECC's perspective, I think it's not possible. We cannot track it.
No, but they are independent. So I mean, they are different.
Correct. They are not the same document. One is freight unit and another is your freight order.
Yeah, that one is a freight order. What is this? 2554?
Freight unit.
So this is your freight order.
Okay, okay, got it.
2553 is your freight unit. That is, these are different business objects.
Okay.
Oh, when you plan it, it becomes freight order.
Right. So freight unit is a subsequent document of freight order.
No, it's the predecessor.
Okay.
In flow we had discussed, you have your sales order, you have your OTR, then you have your freight unit. After planning, you get your freight order.
Okay.
Starting here, you can see in document here. You have order, moving on to OTR, then you have your freight unit, then you have your freight.
So the OTR has a different number range. It has its own, but sales order is like 15,400. And then which is basically the OTR is the same as sales order, or does it have any extra fields?
No, OTR is different. It will have only TM related information.
So I didn't get
Look, to get my point.
Sorry, just okay. Go ahead.
I said that OTR, it will have only TM related information. Anyways, when we will see in detail, then we'll get to know what is the information from sales order, that what is the transportation related information is only moving into TM as part of your OTR.
It's like a okay. The last question I have. I didn't get the customer 1, customer 3, and I don't know what you are trying to explain it. The last part in the talk and the demo. You showing the map and everything, yeah. You created a sales order for customer 1 or customer 3?
What I meant was that actually the order which we are having, it is for customer 1. But that, like the vehicle which I am using, say my truck, when the execution started, at that time my truck was at the location of customer 3.
Customer 3.
That's, yeah, it was at the location of customer 3. That's why it started from there. That's what I meant. So it was at the location of customer 3. From there it reached the plant, and then from plant it went to customer.
Oh, okay, okay.
So the point I had to make, that maybe your vehicle or your whatever transportation you are using, it may be at any place. So that also would be covered as part of these stages. We'll get all those details in stage.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any other queries?
Yeah, I have one. For the settlement or the GL or the cost element, the cost center, these are coming from the ECC, or we can use within the TM?
We will push this data from TM to ECC, and then the process would be same as you have for your shipment cost.
Okay. And do we have the provision to charge the same freight cost or the freight charges to the customer in passing to the invoices?
No, we don't have that functionality.
Okay, so the freight charges, whatever we have paid to the freight forwarder, we cannot recover it from customer, or we cannot pass it from pass it to the customer.
Yes. Yes. So this is what is the, you don't have this functionality in TM itself. This is not something that it is not, we have not configured. TM as a solution does not have that functionality.
Okay.
You need to move to ECC.
Okay, so I have seen the condition types you are using the FD00. So these are the condition type for the freight charges, right? So we in the pricing or maybe the charges, we have a separate pricing procedure where we are assigning the condition types and all in the TM itself for charge management, right? I'm right?
Yes, but once we start with TM, to all my students, generally I suggest that when you are doing TM, just try to forget what you have on the ERP side, because that's totally different. In TM, you have to create a totally new master data, or we are creating for your charge management. So if you will try to compare these two things, you end up only with confusion.
Okay, okay.
Anything else from anybody?
So, I'm still a little confused. The charges and all is not coming from ECC, right? You are telling that it is come. You can maintain the conditions, pricing conditions, and everything in TM.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think if nobody is having any other queries, then maybe we can end the session.
So how many classes, sorry, it will be done? Is I think it's a looks smaller module, is it?
Time generally 40 hours
40 hours? Oh,
it takes, but you cannot say it's that small also.
oh okay. I don't know. You saw the slides. Let's see, like few.
So I'm just trying to give a snapshot.
Okay, okay, yeah.
So I think if